Standing on top of the platform, Quinn had a clear view of the giant rat-like creatures coming towards him. He aimed carefully, and then when they were about halfway up the stairs, he activated his skill. Blood spray! 25 of 30 HP. His arm jerked back as the skill activated, and a strong force of blood left his hand spreading out. The 5 rats out in front were sent flying back and toppling down the stairs. However, the shot had only hit the ones in front, and the rats behind quickly climbed over their fallen comrades. Quinn decided to head further up the stairs to create more distance between him and the rats, but then he could see there was a huge problem in front of him. Part of the ceiling from the floor above had crumbled and collapsed onto the staircase, blocking his way. There was no longer any space for Quinn to go up. He turned around and the rats were just starting to ascend the second set of stairs. The rats from before were quick to make a recovery and were behind them as well. This time, Quinn held out both hands with his palm wide open. Blood spray! The first spray of blood left his hands and knocked the rats over. Then, when the group behind them started to ascend, he cast blood spray again with his other hand. 20 of 30 HP. 15 of 30 HP. The rats had fallen over and were badly hurt by the attack, but knew they would soon recover. There were several small holes over their body where blood would leak from, but they just weren't deep enough to cause any serious damage. He made sure to keep his distance away from them and stayed on top of the stairs. Although blood spray was good at hitting multiple targets, it wasn't as strong as blood swipe. Only the force of knocking them back was powerful. If Quinn was to get close, he was afraid that the rats might recover and surround him, so there was only one thing he could do. He started swinging his hands out rapidly, aiming carefully at each rat. Blood swipe! Blood swipe! Blood swipe! As the red claw-like lines left his hands, at the same time he could hear multiple messages ding in his head. Rattaclaw has been defeated. 100 EXP. 14 of 30 HP. Rattaclaw has been defeated. 100 EXP. 13 of 30 HP. The messages continued onward until eventually all of the rats had been killed. Quinn then fell to the floor on his knees, gasping for air. The continued use of blood swipes along with his new skill, blood spray, had tired him out. 5 of 30 HP. Blood bank has auto-activated. 30 of 30 HP. 50 milliliters remaining in blood bank. 1040 of 1600 EXP. Congratulations, blood swipe has reached level 2. Chapter mid. After sitting down for a few minutes and recovering his stamina, Quinn was finally able to stand. He took a moment to take in all of the messages he had received. Only half of his blood bank now remained. As long as he didn't get injured, he only needed to consume 10 milliliters of blood every 2 days. This meant the remaining blood in his bank would last him a total of 10 days. He didn't know how long he would be on this planet, but he needed to be careful about using his skills. If he got into a situation where he needed to fight, he needed to use his fists and only rely on his blood skills in an emergency like in this scenario. Who knew if there was another human being on this planet? There were only 2 good things that had come out of the whole situation. The fact that his blood swipe skill had leveled up. There was no change in the description on how it worked, but assuming it had now leveled up, he hoped it was now stronger. If the system was like a game, then it meant the more he used the skill, the quicker it would level up. The only thing Quinn was unsure about was whether or not using the blood swipe in the game had helped it level up quicker. There was no way for him to tell, as there was no experience bar for his skills. The second good thing that had come out of this was the EXP he had gained. To gain the same amount of experience points as he had just gained at this moment, he would have had to play the game for days. Quinn then walked up to the dead beasts on the floor. Before, when he had killed the first Rattaclaw, he didn't have time to extract the beast's crystal from its body, but inside the building, it seemed like he was safe from other creatures. Using the tip of his gauntlets, he tore open the beasts. He searched around inside the chest, looking for a glowing crystal. Usually, someone doing this for the first time, it would affect them. Maybe they would have even thrown up a few times, searching around inside the organs of the beast. But for some reason, Quinn felt like he was unaffected, and it didn't bother him at all. He couldn't help but think ever since he had become a halfling, his view on what was normal and what wasn't was changing. After searching around for a while, Quinn finally found it. It was a small, round crystal ball with tiny little bumps all over, and around the same size as an adult's fist. "Basic tier beast crystal obtained. Would you like to store it in your inventory?" Then another message appeared. Inventory? Quinn thought. You mean I had one this whole time? Quinn selected the yes option, and suddenly the crystal in his hand slowly started to vanish away, and finally it had completely disappeared. He then opened up his status screen, and now there was a tab for inventory. As he selected the tab, he could see the single beast crystal stored inside. I wonder if I can put anything else in there. Quinn then tried using his mind to store his gauntlets into the inventory. If he could store weapons and other things, it would be really handy for future trips. He tried and tried, but nothing appeared from the system. Whenever he wanted to do something with the system in the past, all he had to do was think about it, and it would work. But even taking off the gauntlets and touching them, thinking about the inventory while wearing them, nothing seemed to work. Although he was able to make the crystal he had obtained appear into his hand and back into the inventory at will. Quinn then went to extract the crystals from the remaining 9 rats. Each time he did it, he found it easier than the last to locate it inside the body, and every time he held a crystal in his hand, the system message would appear. Basic tier beast crystal 10. He had collected all 10 and couldn't help but feel pleased with himself. The beast crystals could be used to turn into beast weapons or beast armor, but looking at the rat-like creature, Quinn had no idea what it could be used for. Every beast crystal, depending what beast it had come from, had a different use, and you could try to figure it out from what the beast was like. For example, if a beast crystal was obtained from a large, turtle-like creature, then it would likely be a defensive item that could be crafted. Maybe it could be turned into a shield or even a good piece of chest armor. But regardless, even if the item created Quinn had no use for, the least he could do was sell the basic tier beast crystals. Each crystal sold would sell for a total of 10 credits, which meant he could either use the money to purchase beast gear himself, or he could use it to spend more time in the game. After tinkering around in his system and his stamina fully recovered, Quinn decided to try to climb up to the roof of the building. Even though the building he was in was safe, he was on a strict time scale and needed to find the portal back fast. He walked around and looked for any cracks and gaps he could see in the stairs. Eventually, after making a few detours, he had reached the top of the building. The building was about 3 stories high, and wasn't the biggest, but at least now he had a better view of where he was. As he looked around, all he could see were buildings that resembled human structures. That's when he spotted something. One of the buildings, without a doubt, had the same crest as the school he attended. So this really is a human shelter, but then why is it all ruined and destroyed? The building was large in size and square-like, but only 2 stories high. Out of all the buildings around, it was in better shape than all the others. Quinn had recognized the building as they had one in the city he was currently in. It was the military storage room. It was where they kept all their high-end equipment, ability books, skill books, and beast weapons. There's a good chance the portal might be located in there? Quinn then started to smile. Even if there isn't, I can't waste this opportunity.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.